What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the College Football Podcast, and it is our 2025 season prediction show. That is right, Ryan. We have one. That is just one weekend left where we don't have college football in our lives up until the month of January now. We are so nearly there. And now it's time for us to make some really bad decisions on the show today when thinking what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, this is usually where it all goes downhill. I look back in here and think, what was I thinking? Where I get 90% of it wrong.
I know it's good fun. So as I say, today we're going to be providing our predictions for the year. Hopefully, you'll see this nice shiny graphic I've got up on the stream. Like I said, trying to make this stuff a little bit more, viable for everyone to be able to see it all. You should be able to see the categories and everything we're going to be looking over this evening. But basically, it's as we've always done. It's just in a format that you can see and not us just going through without you being able to. So everything from championship games to positional awards to statistical awards to the playoffs, we are going to be putting forward our opinions on that this evening. But first, as always, we've got a little bit of housekeeping to do and we've got some people to say hello to. So, Roar of the Lions UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We will fire you across a link for that. The main Detroit Lions podcast, we didn't do a show on Monday because we are preparing ourselves for Saturday. And what is Saturday? Saturday is the unofficial fifth anniversary of Roar of the Lions UK, our podcast. It was the actual anniversary was a few days ago, but it's basically been half a decade since we started this endeavor and how it's grown in those 5 years. So we will be doing on Saturday, or for those of you in America, starting 7 o'clock on Friday evening, a 24-hour stream in which we will be streaming for 24 hours. Believe it or not, we have a whole host of guests that we have coming on. We have tape breakdowns of our top three rookies from the Lions draft class just gone. We've got a quiz. There's going to be a live reaction show for the Detroit Lions Miami Dolphins preseason game, although judging by practice today, might not be much of a contest, and all sorts of other bits and bobs as well. So if you could do us a favor and spread the word out about that stream, we would really appreciate it. Just send it out to any and everyone you can. Brent, I know you've been doing a tremendous job with that. Shout out to the Hat and Beard Show. He's another Detroit Lions podcaster out there who shouted out our stream multiple times on his own the other day. We've not worked with him before. You didn't have to do that, but we really appreciate you putting the word out there and letting as many people know about this endeavor as possible because we are putting a lot of work into it. But yeah, that is all going to be taking place from Friday night over there for you guys, and then all of Saturday for us. It's going to be good fun. So hopefully you can come and join us at some stage for as much of that as you can. And as I say, be a friend, tell a friend, let everybody know what is going on in regards to that there. We're a part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so if you help to support that endeavor as well, you'll see me on there quite frequently. That would be very much appreciated. We are monetized on YouTube. We have got all those things, so if you want to help us that way, great. And as you may have noticed, we've now started doing channel memberships. This has been requested from us from a couple of people going by just a way to help support us on the pod more, and we've already got our first two up there. Brent DeWitt and Codge Paston have both joined the supporters tier for us, so we really appreciate you there. And Codge Paston has sent out one gifted as well to Patrick Speck, so congratulations on getting yours there, Patrick. Yeah, it's just another way to be able to help support the channel if you wish to be able to. We'll maybe grow this over time and do some more exclusive content and tier it and stuff. But for now, as I say, we just appreciate the support you guys give us. And, hopefully all the content we put out there makes your support worth it. And then, yeah, we've got the feedback form as well. So any feedback on the shows, anything like that, then just let us know. Fill the form in. We shall take it on board. Shout out to everyone who is in the building tonight. So seeing Contra Pastan's in the building. Brent DeWitt is in the building as well. Lisa De Lorenzo's in the building. Hope you're doing well, Lisa. Mile Marker's in there as well. Hope you are good as well. Brent has sent out a gift of membership as well, which has gone to Mile Marker. So congratulations, Mile Marker, for that there. Yeah, I think that's everyone in the building. So as always, if you've got any questions for us, any comments as the night goes on, just let us know. And at some stage, we will get to them at an appropriate point of the show. I'm just checking now, and yes, this graph is up perfectly. So yeah, I think we're going to there. My marker goes, the gifted memberships are random. Yeah, I think they're random on here. I'm not, we're still learning about these things at the minute, but hopefully, people can make use of them. We've got some special emotes and stuff on there. Hopefully, we're going to put a few more on there for you all. There is SEC here, Lisa. I called it the Southeastern for some reason. I don't like abbreviating it down. Just gave it its full name. So yeah, I think that is just about everything covered for now. So this is really all we're going to be doing this evening is the predictions. There's no news really to go through. I will go through what we're going to do on next week's show in a little bit, but in a nutshell, it's going to be week 0 next week or the weekend after this one. So we'll be doing a preview for week 0, but we're also going to be doing our team previews for the year. So if you remember from a few weeks back, me and Ryan had a random team generator come up with a name for each of us for teams we're going to be following this year. His has landed on UCF, mine landed on South Carolina. So we're going to be putting forward our presentations of those teams, analysing them before they hit the season. But as one other thing for it as well, because we have our nice, small, loyal, dedicated group of listeners in here and back us every single week. We will be doing I'll be doing previews for teams you guys follow as well. So for Brent, we'll have one done for Army and Michigan. For Mile Marker, of course, we'll take a look at Minnesota and maybe a look at North Dakota State. But for anyone else who frequents us here very often, if there's a team you want us to have a look at next week, just whack it in the chat. That's the least we can do for you guys supporting us all the time. So yeah, I will do that again at the end of the show as well, so no one misses out. But that's what we're going to be doing next week, and then previewing week 0, which is great because the slate is actually pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it. Are we ready, Rye? Are you ready to potentially embarrass yourself again this year and myself as well? It was really difficult this year. I don't know about you, but this feels like the hardest year I've ever done at this. Every year I go on, the more I learn, the less I feel like I know.
I'm confident in my players. The playoff teams and the championship games, no. I'll be happy if I get a handful right.
And I do have a form that we filled out last year. So as we go through these awards,
You don't need to go back to them.
well, for the sake of, our listeners would like to hear how wrong we were last year. So not for all of them, because apparently I didn't keep the answers for everything, but I'm going to go through the ones that I can there. So yeah, I think that is just about everything for now. Lisa goes, I'm so excited for football. Yeah, I can't wait to be staying up till 5 a.m. watching college football again. And I mean that sincerely. I'm ready for it here. My bucket goes, I used to walk by the Gophers practice field in summer on the way to campus. Love the thudding sounds of August. Yeah, absolutely. Conch Passing goes, Michigan has me covered. Okay, we'll do a good look at Michigan next week as well. But if there's any other teams close to your heart you want us to have a little preview of before the season starts, then of course we are at your disposal. Right, let us get this underway. So we're going to start with the championship games for this season. So basically, what this is, we pick the 2 teams that we believe are going to play in the conference championship game, and we're going to pick the winner as well, or the team that we believe is going to win it. So we're going to start off down in the group of 5 with Conference USA. And just a reminder of the teams that participate in the Conference USA for all you listening out there. You have the Florida International Panthers, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, the Kennesaw State Owls, the Liberty Flames, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders, the New Mexico State Aggies, the Sam Houston Bearcats, the University of Texas El Paso Miners, also known as UTEP, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, and the two new teams in the conference this year. They are the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens and the Missouri State Bears. Last year, me and Ryan predicted. So Ryan had Liberty winning the conference over Jacksonville State. I had Liberty winning the conference over Florida International. We were both wrong. Jacksonville State won the
Ah,
CUSA
right.
last
You got a
year.
finalist.
You did. Jacksonville State won over Western Kentucky last year, so Ryan got a finalist right. I got squat right in the CUSA this last year. So not a great start for us, but this year, Ryan, who do you have going to the Conference USA Championship game, and who wins?
Well, it's parity. So a lot of the names teams have just named were the teams again in consideration. I have the Kentucky Hilltoppers beating the Liberty Flames. That's who I've got
So,
on this one's year. So yeah, I'm going with the heavy pass on fence. Liberty's lost a lot of its talent. Jacksonville State had some of its talent cropped and also had its head coach poached. So I don't think they're getting back this year.
all right, Ryan has Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, over the Liberty Flames. So how this is done, the team that is in bold is the winner that we're predicting from this, just to, show you who we've got to be winning it instead of having multiple boxes. I have gone on a complete and utter tangent this year. So Liberty are not the power they once were. Obviously, there's no Caden Salter there at the moment, so you've got to get a new quarterback up and running. Western Kentucky lost a lot of pieces last year after their loss in the CUSA Championship game. Jacksonville State, obviously, Rich Rod has gone back to West Virginia. They are completely starting from scratch. I think this is going to be the year where some of the upstarts are going to come to the show. And I made a very bold prediction last year, and I'm actually going to double down on it this time. But I've got a major upset happening in Conference UA this year. I have the University of Texas El Paso Miners taking the entire conference from the Florida International Panthers. Now, these are two of my favorite coaches down in the group of five level. So UTEP, this is going to be year two of Scotty Walden, the offensive genius who came up from Austin Pay last year. And, one of the reasons I'm so high on this team, the amount of talent he developed in year one. You've got Odom, the star receiver there. Obviously, your quarterback room is Skylar Locklear, who we bought from Austin Pay with him. But then you've also got Malachi Nelson, the former high five-star recruit from USC, is now in town. He's got a bunch of bona fide weapons there. They've got a good backfield. They did lose their two main edge rushers last year, but the fact is, in Kyron Duhon and Mo Westmoreland, they developed this talent there. They developed a lot of talent very quickly, and he's retaining a much more of this team than he had at his disposal last year. The way he plays, I think he's a rising star in the coaching ranks. Scotty Walden is. I think they're going to shock us all this year and take it, and they're going to do it against the Florida International team. Who, yes, I did have them last year. I thought Mike McIntyre's fourth year would be the year when they broke through, but Willie Simmons goes to that franchise this year. He's never had a losing season as a head coach. You go back to his FAMU teams, the Florida A&M teams that dominated down in the HBCUs. I've been watching this team. I've been watching their practices, and they have a strut about them. They have a swagger about them this year. And Keon Jenkins, they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the group of five. They've got a good offensive line blocking for him. He's got a good running back room. He's got good weapons in the wide receiver room. And they've got some, not many, but some stars on defense to be able to, do enough to win enough games in the CUSA to get them there. No more so than Brian Blades the second, obviously nephew of the Lions' own Benny Blades. But there's a lot of talent there, and I think he's going to turn that team around very quickly. I really highly rate him as a head coach. So, yeah, I got the UTEP Miners taking down the Florida International Panthers. No Liberty, no Western Kentucky, no Jacksonville State. If this happens, I will be absolutely shocked. But I'm backing a lot of the teams and the guys I like this year, and cashing the checks in for some of these. So that is where we're going with the CUSA. We've got Sunbelt up next. And this is always incredibly difficult to predict. So, remembering with the Sun Belt, it's one of the only teams, it's one of the only conferences left where they still use divisions. So, you have to make sure you've got a team from each. In the East
Oh,
Division,
let,
yeah,
let
make
me.
sure. Yeah, make sure you've got this one right. But anyhow, in the East Division, you've got Appalachian State, the Mountaineers. You've got the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. You've got the Georgia Southern Eagles. You've got the Georgia State Panthers. You've got the James Madison Dukes. You've got the Marshall Thundering Herd. And you've got the Old Dominion Monarchs. And then in the West, you've got the Arkansas State Red Wolves. You've got the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. You've got the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks, the South Alabama Jaguars, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, the Texas State Bobcats, and the Troy Trojans. So while Ryan double checks that his teams match for that one, I'll start this one off with mine. And again, this is another where I've gone really out the bounds. For a lot of these, I haven't, but again, these are teams that I'm secretly very high on. I've got no James Madison in my group this year. I've got no Coastal Carolina. I've got none of the big hitters. I've got the Georgia Southern Eagles taking down the Arkansas State Red Wolves in the championship game. Now, while everybody's been sort of focused on this on the big teams, the James Madisons have been really good the last few years. App State have had their moments. Marshall won the conference last year. Um, this Georgia Southern team has sneakily been going under the radar, building. Obviously, it's Clay Helton there, the former USC head coach. He's very silently been building a very good program there, which year on year is getting a little bit better. And with a lot of the teams around them in the East, App State are in a whole world of pain at the minute after a really bad last year. Coastal Cal are in the middle of a rebuild. James Madison is still one of the teams to beat. They're probably going to be the standard bearer there for them. But Marshall is starting from scratch. No head coach, no players. There's going to be a big build there. I fancy Georgia Southern now to take that step up this year with a head coach who's played at a high level, who has played under a lot of pressure. And I really do fancy this team to take the East out of James Madison's hands and out of Marshall's hands, even though I expect James Madison to do well this year. And then in the West, I mean, Arkansas State and Butch Jones has been a wonderful recovery story there. 2 years ago, this team was written off and left for dead after that 72 nothing odd twonking they took from Oklahoma, where just everything looked completely forlorn for them. This is another team who've built from within. They got a lot of homegrown stars there in Jalen Rayner. They've got, again, one of the best quarterback prospects in the entire group of five. Jacquez Crush, got running back in there. Corey Rucker. You might have, well, you've certainly got the most experienced wide receiver in the whole group of five, possibly the most talented wide receiver in that entire group of five. And this is a very underrated offense, which can put up a lot of points. And it just feels like things are starting to click for them now. They've been through the real hard graft and now they're ready to take that leap forward. Louisiana, I still think will be a decent team, but they lost a lot of that squad from last year. Troy are still rebuilding, to say the least. Texas State, they would be the team obviously I would have put in there otherwise, but their quarterback situation concerns me. They were meant to get the kid from, oh God, I can't remember where it was now. They had a quarterback who transferred twice. Oh God, who was it meant to be starting there? I can't remember. Anywho, they've got quarterback problems. Kinney, I think, is getting ready for the Pac-12 next year. I think Arkansas State can shock this schedule, and they've got one of the easier Sun Belt schedules this year. They've got all the harder teams at home. They've got the easier away fixtures. Again, if this happens, it would be absolutely crazy. But yeah, I've got Georgia Southern, the Eagles, taking down the Arkansas State Red Wolves, two teams I've admired the long build and how they've withstood the portal pressure on them. Who've you got, Rye?
So a team I admire very much. Yeah, I've got the Dukes. So James Madison, they're going to ascend to royalty and take their position as the monarch. They're a well-built roster. They're now very experienced. They've got two quarterbacks that bring potentially both dynamic player to the team. They've got some very talented receivers. They've got the best G5 running backs in the country. very well coached, lots of talent. They've been in and around there now. Like I say, they've made some mistakes later on in seasons, but I think this is probably going to be the best version you're going to get before some of these guys graduate and decide to move on. But I've got them beating Texas State. Like I say, I think they'll do really well there. Like I say with you, GJ Kinney, I'm very high on him. He's got this team very competitive in recent years. They've played really well in their games when they've come up against Power Four opposition. They've given a good count themselves at home. They're very strong when they do play at their home field and got a good advantage. It's a good roster that's well built and put together. They've brought in an interesting mix, I think, of portal quarterbacks to replace Jordan McLeod, who for one season he was electric and he gave them the spark they needed. So went out there and got guys like Nate Yarnell, that was once highly thought prospect out of Pitt. They got some other guys in, like say Parkhurst, Geriner, got Brad Jackson. So they've got a mix of seniors, freshmen, juniors. And apparently it's a very wide competitive open battle. It's going to be very interesting. But a lot of teams, players right now that can bring some big offensive pieces here. So I think it's going to be very competitive. But yeah, I like them. They've been progressing, taking the right steps in the last few years. And I think they can come out of the house, come out of that side of the division. But when it all said and done, I think the Dukes will have too much for them, especially on offense, and they will be able to overpower them. And I think they'll finally get where they belong. Like I say, they had that time where they weren't eligible, where they probably would have been one of the teams to make a title game. They were that good. Now they need to do it for real because yeah, now they're there. Like I said, they really need to get over the hump.
Ryan has James Madison over Texas State, which is a role reversal from the prediction he made last year. He had Texas State over James Madison last year, and I had Appalachian State over Texas State. And boy, how wrong we were. It ended up being Marshall over Louisiana, so we completely missed when it came to the Mountain West, when it came to the Sun Belt last year. Hopefully, this year bodes better for at least one of us. Right. Got your message, Mark Marcus. And Mark Marcus said maybe have a look at JUCO. We will try and take a look more at the JUCO scene this year. So I'll dig into that when I get the opportunity to. It says just for something different. Absolutely. We are always here to give you as much varied content as possible. Brent, I've not asked the doc yet. We will get to that. I did see your thing with him the other day, so I will get round to asking him. There's still a few people we need to sort out, so yeah, I'll make sure we get him on. Don't you worry. Right. Moving on to one of our favorite conferences, the Mountain West. We love Mountain West football. It's what we look forward to seeing every single year. Teams in the Mountain West, just for a reminder, is one conference. The Air Force Falcons, the Boise State Broncos, the Colorado State Rams, the Fresno State Bulldogs, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, the Nevada Wolfpack, the New Mexico Lobos, the San Diego State Aztecs, the San Jose State Spartans, the UNLV Rebels, the Utah State Aggies, and the Wyoming Cowboys. And we actually did fairly well on this last year, although I feel that it's kind of cheating. But last year in the Mountain West, Boise State took down UNLV in the championship game. I actually called that bang on. I went Boise State over UNLV last year, despite my love of UNLV. Ryan went the other way. He had UNLV over Boise State. So we were perfect on the teams that got there, and one of us got the entire thing. So yeah, we did really well. We know our Mountain West ball, but things are different this year. UNLV has been blown apart. Boise State has lost its superstar. There's a lot of upheaval in the conference, and you know, a new year is a new year. There's a new opportunity here, right? We'll snake back to you. Who is making the Mountain West title game for you this year, and who's winning it?
See, you say that. I spent ages trying to convince myself that things would be different, and I landed on Boise State beating UNLV. I think this is the year we see the real Mads Maddox. Like I say, so guy, they've still got a potentially star running back in the power. They've still got one of my favorite players in the whole country in Ty Benefield. There's still talent all over that roster that was hiding behind players that have now moved on to the pros and that were just ready to jump out and shine. I still think it's a very good rush, and it's still one of the best coaches in the country. And then when I look at UNLV, yeah, it's been good, but they've gone down that approach of let's go get every 4 and 5 star big power forward recruit we can. Justin Flo, Denver Harris, they've gone into the portal and thrown their wallet about to give
Hmm.
4 and 5 star like SEC, Big 10, Big 12 players. Is that a recipe for disaster? Potentially. But this is last chance saloon for all those guys, and most of them are supremely talented. And like I say, it's going to be a whole mishmash. But UNLV, their style, their brand of football, maybe it's got room for a bit of swagger, a bit of arrogance, some hotheads, some guys that might not get along, but maybe put together a really good product. So yeah, I've got to repeat the same game with the same outcome.
Ooh, it's okay. I didn't expect that to happen, but who knows? It's going to be interesting when you win, Elfie. It's Dan Mullen there now, so we'll see what goes on. But absolutely, that could be the case. I'm with you. One team's getting back there, and it feels really lazy. This one does, but I think at this moment in time, Boise State is just that much better than every other team in the conference right now. So I have the Boise State Broncos winning the Mountain West again this year, but I've got them beating San Jose State, the Spartans, and this is a team that has come to my attention as we've been doing this. This is Ken Neomatolo, the former long-term Navy head coach who won games for them for years, and he's completely changed the style of football there at San Jose State. They don't run the triple like they used to there. This is a really potent air-based attack that he's fielding, and Walker get the quarterback there, is really leading the way for this team. But you've seen some of the talent they've churned out. Nick Nash has come up to the draft this year. They've got a good offensive line. They've done well in replacing him. They got Danny Scudero, who was one of the Sac State star wide receivers from last year. Got a couple of Power Five guys in as well to help. But, the offensive line is really good. The running game should be a little bit better for them. And the defense is just good enough to be able to go out there and win games for them. They had 21 interceptions last year, which was second in the country only to BYU. This is a no-fly zone secondary which can turn the ball over very quickly and can put plenty of points down on there. And I'm just not sure UNLV is going to be the force that it once was. With so many players gone, I think they're going to at least take a year to adjust to things. Fresno State, obviously, their former NDSU head coach is there now. He's going to do wonderful things with them, but he's inheriting a program which needs a lot of work done on it as well. New Matolo's is there, it's set, it's ready, and they've been winning games. So I think they're going to be the best of the rest in the Mountain West this year, and it'll be good to see him get his flowers. So yeah, we've both got Boise State winning it, but different opponents. We will move it now down into the MAC, which is, basically trying to throw darts at a board as far as I'm concerned. It is
Didn't
very
it have like
difficult.
5 or 6 different winners in like 7 years, a
Yes.
couple of years ago?
Yes, it's very, very difficult to be able to predict this. But anyhow, in the MAC, you've got the Akron Zips, the Ball State Cardinals, the Bowling Green Falcons, the Buffalo Bulls, the Central Michigan Chippewas, the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the Kent State Golden Flashes, the Miami of Ohio Redhawks, the Northern Illinois Huskies, the Ohio Bobcats, the Toledo Rockets, and the Western Michigan Broncos. And of course, this year they've got one new member. They have the UMass Minutemen joining the conference as well, although I'm not sure they're going to join our predictions to win this thing. So I will go first as we are snaking, and I think there's one standout team in the conference this year, and I think it's going to take down who has been the recent heavyweight here. I have the Buffalo Bulls taking down the Toledo Rockets. I think this Buffalo team is just absolutely stacked. Its only major question is what Taquan Roberson is going to do at quarterback for them, but he's been in college football now for 6 years. If he rediscovers that great form that he showed at UConn a couple of years ago, this team, it has in Al Henderson at running back, in Victor Snow at wide receiver. They've got one of the best edge rushers in the country, period, let alone group of five, power five. They are absolutely stacked on this Buffalo team, and I think year two of the new head coach. This could have been a flash in the pan, but I think talent-wise, they've got everything they need in this building to be able to go and win. And Toledo and Jason Candle are always the standard. You know, they're going to be a great team. They're going to win a lot of games. And I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the MAC this year. And I think this would be an absolutely tremendous game to finish it off. But for me, Buffalo, they've got the talent, they've got the hype, and I think they're going to deliver on their hype this year. So I've got Buffalo taking down Toledo in the MAC championship game at Ford Field in December. Ryan, where are you going with your MAC prediction?
Uno reverse. I play my card. See, for all exact reasons you've just said, but I have Toledo beating Buffalo because I named as one of my dark horses of like the triple unit. I named the Rockets, and they've got the settled quarterback. Like I said, that was one of the very productive G5s in the guy last year, and I think, like I said, their offense is very settled. I agree that I think there's more stars, more playmakers as a whole, especially on defense on the Buffalo team. I just question. I think everyone else can get them there. I just don't know if Taquan Robertson will, when the lights are the brightest, will be able to handle it. And Toledo have been there. They've been, like say, in those pressure situations. I think the Rockets will squeak it out. If these two do meet for field, I reckon we get fireworks. We'll get at least best part of 70 points between these two if they do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree that these are going to be the two teams to beat for me. Obviously, as much as I would love to try and put the crate train in there again, I think this is going to be very fun. I think the MAC's going to be a very fun conference this year. So yeah, we've one's got Buffalo, one's got Toledo. In terms of how things shook out last year, we had the same prediction. I'm pretty sure it was the only one where we maybe had the same winners and the exact same um, outcome for it. But in terms of how the MAC, Ohio beat Miami of Ohio for their first title since 1968. Me and you both had Miami of Ohio beating Bowling Green, who were very disappointing by all accounts. So we nailed getting Miami of Ohio in there. We just didn't realize that their brethren from the same state were going to come in there and ruin it for them. I kind of wish Miami of Ohio won it now, so we got a second conference winner in there. But for the MAC being so hard to predict, I think we did pretty well with that one. And then finishing off the group of five, we have the American,
It's
and no one saw what happened in the American coming last year. I can tell you that right now. But in terms of teams in the American, you've got the Army Black Knights, the Charlotte 49ers, the East Carolina Pirates, the Florida Atlantic Owls, the Memphis Tigers, the Navy Midshipmen, the North Texas Mean Green, the Rice Owls, the South Florida Bulls, the Temple Owls, the Tulane Green Wave, the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, the UAB Blazers, that's the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and then the University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners, also known as UTSA. And Army absolutely stomped their way to the American last year, absolutely railroading Tulane in the championship game. Ryan predicted a Memphis win over South Florida. I predicted a UTSA win over Tulane, so I had Tulane as the losing finalists. But apart from that, yeah, none of us saw Army coming through last year. What better predictions do we have for the American this year, Rye?
this is one where I've gone bold. So I don't have either team from last year's game. I have the Navy midshipmen beating the East Carolina Pirates.
No.
I think this is the year it all comes together for Navy. They've retained their two best players, Horvath and Heinrich. Like I said, they have become a comparable to parallel offense. Their defense is brutal. Like I said, I think they're ready to finally get over the hump and finally to deliver on the conference win. And East Carolina, I think they will be the surprise this year. Got a quarterback, they've got receivers, they've got a running back. They went on a 5-1 record to win last season. I'd say they had a very strong year to the finish. I think this year they start better last than they did last season, and they will be in the running very close to the end. They're a high-powered, high-scoring, fast-tempo team that's quite exciting, and I think they will kind of bully their way in. I love John Sumrall. I just looked at the key positions that Tulane lost this year, like I say, and I just think even with the addition of Rexlav this late, how much was he a deciding factor? I think they come third and they miss out just on a title berth this year.
Oh, see, they were two I did have in consideration, but I thought I can't do that to Brent. I can't say that Navy are gonna win the American the year after Army do, but I can buy that. I think Navy are one of the strongest teams in there this year. They're certainly going to be in the conversation for me. This is the year where I'm going to. So with some teams, I stand the teams year in, year out on this pod, but eventually there has to be a payoff for them and they have to start making tangible progress. And for that reason, I do have Tulane winning the American this year, but I've got them doing it against the South Florida Bulls. And it is time for Alex Golesh to put up or shut up. We have given him a lot of nice compliments on this channel for the job that he's done at South Florida, and he has done a tremendous job with this program. I mean, obviously, it's a program that used to do really well, going back to the Willie Taggart days. They did really good, but before Alex Golesh arrived, they were a program in the absolute mire. And Golesh has turned this thing around, and he's turned them from a bottom feeder into a very consistent bowl eligible side. And I think now that he's had enough time to be at this program, this should be it's a much bigger program than a group of five school. It's just it's not had the leadership, it's not had the team to go and do it. But he's held on to most of his team this year, and most importantly, they've got Byron Brown back at quarterback. Now he broke his leg last year, missed the majority of the season, which is why they weren't as good because they went through a QB carousel after he got hurt. He's fully healthy now. He's playing, he's throwing, he's going to be ready for this season, or at least for the vast majority of it anyhow. I think it's Golesh's time and Byron Brown's time to take this USF team to the top, especially with, again, a lot of the big programs. Memphis are undergoing a big rebuild this year. Army will be undergoing a rebuild this year after what they've lost. Navy will be a very good team, don't get me wrong, but USF generally do well when they're playing against Navy. I fancy them to put one over them on again, but Tulane, John Sumrall wins championships. He did it with Troy, turned them into an absolute Sunbelt powerhouse. Last year was a pretty decent year, given that it was technically a step down for them. Yes, they've got issues over the quarterback, but apart from that, this talent all over this roster there, and that defense is starting to take the mold of his defense he had at Troy, and that defense won them championships. And I think in year two, I'm ready to bet on him getting to the big one this year. But again, the American has the potential to be really good with five or six genuine contenders at the top of the conference. So I've got Tulane beating USF, but that'll be a massive step forward for Golesh and the Bulls, and they will go in the right direction. You've eventually got to start making progress, like some other teams, like Timmy Chang at Hawaii. So we will see with that one. That is our group of five, guys. We're going to move now into the Big Ten. And the Big Ten, boy oh boy, was this tough this year. And I don't know how I'm going to try and explain this one because I've got a team in here which I've been big on for years, which have let me down again and again and again.
Oh,
It's
never
meant to
that then.
be, it's meant to be their year, and for one last time, this is going to be the last time. I promise you this. If they let me down, I'm never going to say anything nice against them again. But I've got them getting to the championship game, and you will never, ever, ever guess who I've put them in there with. Because I have spoke so much rubbish about this team, and specifically its head coach, that you would think at this point it would be, um, impossible for me to ever say anything nice about them. There's no Ohio State in there. There's no Oregon in there. I've got Penn State finally breaking the glass ceiling and taking the Big Ten against Lincoln Riley and USC.
Wow.
And yes, I know, wow, the amount of hate I've given that program and him, I think he's a very overrated head coach, but you've got to look at the lay of the land. And, with these bigger, more expanded conferences, You don't necessarily play against all the good teams, so you've got to take strength of schedule into account. Their hardest game is at Eugene this year. They've got to go to Oregon. They miss Penn State. They miss better Ohio State. Missed it with the big teams in there. You've got a very favorable schedule, but I actually went back and looked at the USC team from last year, and they went 6-6, which is not great. But nobody blew this team out. This team has been slowly building up. That defense is a lot better than a usual Lincoln Riley defense. You've got Jordan Maeva taking the starting job at quarterback this year. I love Maeva back from his UNLV days. And they've got a lot of great talent on that offense. They've snatched a lot of the group of five stars and they've brought them up. And it's for all the things I've said about Riley, he's backed into a corner right now. I think his credentials are on the line and all this star power that he's been given, I think it's really in question this year. When you push these guys up against the wall, sometimes, just sometimes, they'll shot you and pull a rabbit out the hat. I'm looking at the schedule, I'm looking at the team, I'm thinking this team could potentially run through its opponents in the Big Ten. It's just that game against Oregon. Can they win it? But Oregon's starting fresh at quarterback. Oregon lost a lot of talent to the draft this year. They've got a hell of a transfer portal class, which is great. But I don't know. Something just struck me about USC this year and the path they've got towards that thing. Yeah, but for Penn State, this is the best team James Franklin's ever had. You've got a good quarterback. You've got the best running back pair in the country. You've got some good receivers at last. You've got a good offensive line, and you're always going to have one of the best defenses in the country. You've got to beat Ohio State at the shoe. This is the last time I'm going to do this because I do genuinely think there's something there with Franklin and the Nittany Lions. I think Ohio State are replacing too much this year. I think they'll lose a game or two. They can't beat Michigan. Wouldn't expect them to beat Michigan again this year either. So yeah, that's my first massive shocker. I've got USC making the title game against Penn State, but Penn State winning the Big Ten, and I feel like I might hear about that one for a long time. Who have you got in the Big Ten, Roy?
I've got Dan Lanning finally getting what he deserves. So yeah, I agree that Oregon's lost a lot of talent, but for me, I think they've done a very good job of also plugging holes despite numerous injuries and losses. I've got the Ducks finally. The cream is going to rise to the top. I think they've done really well to fill the voids of guys they've lost. I've got them beating Ryan Day's Ohio State. I think those key defensive players, that strong run game that's always there. Like I say, it will be an inexperienced QB position, but just the plethora of weapons and also what they've done in the portal, like getting Max Clare, who can be a young quarterback's best friend, being a very good, I think the best tight end in the country this year. I think they'll put on a very good duel. But for me, I just think Oregon is, yeah, that blue chip talent, that Trey McNutt, that Naeem Offord, like I said, that Decorian Moore, these kids that are coming with a chip on their shoulder that are expected to step into big roles straight away, led behind a veteran running back who's one of the best in the country with that offensive line that just seems like it's a conveyor belt of talent. I think the stars are aligning, and I think Dan's one of the best coaches in the country. And if he can do it this year, like I say, with a new QB and loads of young talents, then he will prove that he's the best coach in the country.
Okay, I can buy that. It is time for Oregon. It's like with Lincoln Riley. They both need to be able to prove they can do it and go win
I
the
agree
big
at
one.
everything on Penn State, but like I say, it's for me when they get to those big games when I
Yeah,
put all expectation on them, it feels
yeah.
like they retreat into their shell.
Yeah, and I thought about it strong and I thought about it long and hard. I was going to have
This
Oregon
team
and
is more
USC.
resilient than us.
I was going to have Oregon and USC, but it kind of felt like two West Coast teams in the Big Ten weren't going to do it. There's going to be one or none. So, yeah, it's Big Ten again. There's a lot of conferences shaped up this year because there's no outstanding favorite for me, but there's like 5 or 6 teams that could genuinely go and do it. In terms of the predictions we made for the Big Ten last year, we both had Michigan losing in the championship game, but you had them losing to Ohio State. I had them losing to Penn State, but it was actually Oregon who won the Big 12, beating Penn State. So I got Penn State in the championship game. So, little win for me there, but neither of us had Oregon. But Oregon took that last year, although they didn't take the ultimate win from that one. Now we're moving down into your heartland, Rye. It's Big 12 time. Who we say there's a lot of stacked conferences this year. This genuinely feels like at least three quarters of the at least three quarters of the teams in the Big 12 can win that this year. But who have you got going to the title game?
I looked at that and I want to think it, but when it comes down to it, no, I don't agree. It's a wide in the division, but actual two contenders, I only have four. So I've got Texas Tech winning the whole thing. I've got that oil baron money coming in, clicking in straight away. Those very expensive defensive additions, added good players. Not to mention that I said just the coaching staff. Like I say, they've been getting better and more and better, more prepared to go out there and have like some of the best potential Big 12 passing seasons this year. I think they're going to explode on offense. Supremely talented. I think they'll have a succession plan for whoever has to try fill in for the likes of Taj under center running game. But for me, it's a well-built roster. I don't care. Like I say, money doesn't bother me. If you build a good roster through the portal and they're already getting, like I said, the crazy additions, like I say, for 2026, 2027, it's a program that's going somewhere. Like I say, Lubbock right now is a place that is going to attract a lot of talent. And yeah, I have it clicking straight away. And I have them taking down the defending champions. So I have the Sun Devils not, there's no repeat this year. I think they've set such a lofty bar for themselves. They've lost some key players that have gone on, like I say, lost some leaders on defense. And there's some guys that have now moved on, lost eligibility. I still think they'll be very good. I just feel like winning that second one when like everyone's coming for you, it's that little bit harder. Like I said, there'll be a lot of pressure on them now. And I know Kenny, it doesn't feel pressure and he makes sure his players don't feel like that. But I feel like, yeah, all eyes will be on them this year and I have them faltering. So, yeah, I've got the Red Raiders, like I say, scooping up the Big 12, making an instant impact and taking down the defending champions, which I suppose would probably be a huge shock.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it'd be good though. Arizona.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I could make another case, but I think I know which two teams you've got. I reckon they're both different to mine, and that was my alternative game.
They are different to yours, I believe. Yeah, potentially. I've got the right. Okay, no one's going to be shocked here. So I do have a team breaking the glass ceiling this year. They had one of their best seasons ever last year. Probably my favorite player in the entirety of college football. Plays at quarterback for them, and this is the year where Matt Campbell makes his mark and wins his title. I do have my Iowa State Cyclones taking down the resurgent Baylor Bears
I predicted you'd
because
have it the other way around, but I knew
I
you'd pick those two.
yeah, I know, you're right. Obviously we've talked a lot about the Baylor Bears and like this time last year, Dave Aranda was on it's one of the most miraculous turnaround jobs in the entire country. Like he was molten hot this time last year, and a month into the season, you thought this is it, it's over. Who's the next head coach going to be? But I mean, you've mentioned so many of the players on that team, so much of that talent there that is young. It's going to get better. They seem to be in a groove now. They've found their play style. They've found their tempo, the rhythm, everything about that team they've found. I do expect Baylor to follow through on the hype this year and really throw some stones amongst the big guys in the Big 12. But why I've put Iowa State over them is Campbell, for me, they have been a model of consistency. And yes, it's not the most consistent in the world. 7 win seasons, 8 win seasons. It's not consistently 10 wins, but like they lose so much talent to the draft every year. and they just seem to replace it. They do really well recruiting through the portal, and they do really well with their high school recruiting, creating the next big crop of guys there. And I know they lost their two big receivers this year, but they got Chase Dowell from East Carolina. He's going to be a new big threat for them this year. I think you're going to fill those gaps, and it's how tough they play. They're a very tough team to beat. They're very gritty. They're very Lions-like in the way that they play. And it's just such a wide open conference this year. You can afford to lose a few as you did last year, and you'll still make it there. But Campbell's one of the most consistent coaches in this conference, especially in recent years. And I think last year's ass kicking, which you did give us, is going to be sore. And I think this team is really going to bite back this year because I think it's really going to have bothered them how they lost that championship game. So yeah, you could say I'm biased. Hell yeah, probably am biased. But I've got Iowa State taking down the Baylor Bears. Ryan has Texas Tech taking down Arizona State. In regards to last year, boy oh boy, Ryan had Arizona winning the Big 12 over Kansas State. I had Iowa State winning the Big 12, so it's the second year in a row I've bet this, but I had them beating West Virginia, so I got a finalist. Iowa State got to the finals, so yeah, I got that one, but yeah, West Virginia and Arizona were nowhere near Kansas State. I'm surprised. I'm looking at back because I've got 2023's predictions here as well. You've had Kansas State in the championship game every year we've been doing this.
They keep letting me down.
Yeah,
They should be
so
getting it. They're good enough, but they let themselves down.
So what that means is Kansas State are winning the Big 12 this year. You heard it here first. It's going to be the case. As soon as I stop believing in Penn State, they'll win something. And let's move it on now. We've got the ACC up next. And for me, this is one of the easiest choices and one of the most difficult choices because there's one team who's going in
It's
there
the winner,
quite
but just the
clearly.
runner-up.
Oh, yeah, unless a comet comes and wipes out Death Valley on game day, which obviously we hope doesn't happen, one team's going. It's just who's going to go with them. Of course, Clemson are going to be there. Of course, Clemson are going to win the ACC. But who's the team who's going to stand up to them? And this is another team who, for me, they need to put up or shut up this year with a coach who needs to put up or shut up. And it's one that I've got a lot of, again, love to. Maybe I'm putting my faith in them this year and really testing them. I have, and I've just, for some reason, I've got Clemson, the Tigers. I've got them beating the Pittsburgh Panthers. If you remember last year, Pittsburgh, great start to the
8
season.
0. Yeah.
Yeah, Eli Holstein is a great club. It all fell apart when Eli
Got hurt.
Holstein got hurt and he wasn't playing up to his usual potential. In Desmond Reed, the young running back, the tiny running back, 1,500 yards of scrimmage out of him last year. Narduzzi's defense is an absolute monster. You've got Kyle Louis, who's the best star linebacker in the nation. You've got a team full of playmakers, and the way they play football is just fast, it's frenetic, and it's in your face. And when they get in your face and they cause you issues, there's no getting them off you. I figure now they need to make the step forward because there's a big power void now in the ACC this year. UNC under Bill. I don't think they're going to be much year one. Florida State are rebuilding from scratch. Louisville have they've not broken through the glass ceiling either, although they've got to a title game. I think it's absolutely wide open. And, for me, Narduzzi is the one who's got to really prove himself this year. And I think this Pittsburgh team can do this. The schedule's tough, but I do believe in the team. If Holstein's healthy all year, they are going to be right up amongst that consideration there. But for me, it's definitely a best of the rest category. I am not any more sure on any of these than I am with Clemson absolutely running away with the ACC this year. I'm going to assume you've done the same, but who got to the dance with them?
Yeah, Clemson's winning the whole thing. I've got them beating Duke, the Blue Devils. This team has been on the ascendancy in recent years, and they weren't far off last year with Malik Murphy. He led them to a stellar 9-3 year. The coaching staff are in a good spot right now. It's producing NFL talent, it's retaining its players, and they went out and got a big name portal QB in Darian Mensah, who has, let's say, led Tulane to glory multiple times now, and he has got a high NIL valuation. A lot of teams are very interested in him. Not to mention returning star talent like Brian Parker, one of the best anchoring tackles in the Power Four, and you've got key defensive backs like Chandler Rivers and Terry Moore. It just feels like a team that it's finally there. It used to be a bit of a joke. It used to be, oh, go play basketball. You're not a football school. Well, they're a football school now, like I say, and in recent years they've been very good and difficult. It's always a hard schedule. Like I say, they do really well at home. They travel okay. I feel like this is that year where they just pick that second place, where they carry on straight strong into the late into the year. Mensah comes in, I think he sets the world alight straight away. He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a bit of swagger about him. Like I say, Malik did a good job showing that a 1 year QB can come in. It's a friendly system if you want to learn it and put up good numbers. Yeah, like I said, I just don't think that offense will have enough to trouble the Clemson defense ultimately. I think it'd be a pretty one-sided blowout championship, but if Duke were to get there, it would be massive for them and their fan base.
I'd love that. Yeah, I low-key love that suggestion. Like, so I
The
do
alternative was I thought, yeah, Holstein's real, good read. I thought about Pitt.
yeah,
I like Pat Narduzzi. I
yeah.
always like that team.
Yeah, and I don't think SMU are going to drop off this year. I still think they'll be a bowl eligible team, probably win 8 or 9 games potentially. But I think I think the ACC will
I
now
think the
figure them
peak,
out a
yeah.
little bit. It's now you've got to adapt. They know what they're going to face now. They know the style of team they're facing. They will game plan better for you. So I just expect a little bit of regression beyond the mean for them. So, but I'm not absolutely not wearing them off. In terms of how we predicted this last year, so the ACC, so in the end it was. Oh God, who? So Clemson obviously won the ACC last year over SMU. Um, we had Ryan had Florida State beating NC State. I had Miami of Florida beating Florida State. So Florida State really screwed us last year. So I feel like any goodwill I've had towards Florida State, it's gone now. We both backed them last year and they both made us look like absolute chum. So we got nowhere near and no one was thinking Clemson. So yeah, well done. Well done to the Tigers for that one. And then finishing off the conference games. We've got the SEC, and we snake back to you. Always a tough one. This feels especially tough this year for me. But who have you got winning the SEC and playing in the championship game?
I, it wasn't like I say, it's another one where for me the champion was pretty straightforward. It's who else will make it.
Okay.
I have got the Texas Longhorns winning it. Now, that's based purely off the fact of you've got Quintravious Wisner and you've got the best defense in football. Whether Arch Manning is elite, good, or a fluff, him and Sarkisian, that defense, they will drag them kicking and screaming into that championship game, whether he likes it or not. I think they've got just so loaded on that and in the trenches that they are an absolute nightmare for anyone that wants to try and oppose them at any time. And for me, they are the most well-rounded, best team in football. Like I said, I have them beating the LSU Tigers. For me, it's time that forget Brian Kelly. Like I said, they'll do it on their own. Turn off the headset, call their own players. There's enough talent on this LSU team right now. Enough young talent and a mix of veteran with some key portal additions that if they can just get Harold Perkins just a shade of what he was as like a freshman, redshirt freshman, that defense will be alive and kicking. And we still like they've got a second year star running back. They've got portal wide receivers. They've got a Heisman contender quarterback, potential first overall. Always got a good all line. There's no reason they shouldn't be there. The only reason that will stop them is themselves and maybe coaching decisions and or injury. But for me, yeah, fireworks, Longhorns beat. This is the final I think everyone wants.
See, I'm really, really happy you said that. I also have LSU losing in the title game. I'm glad that I'm not on my own here. I think with, Newsmeyer, he's got Barry and Brown, he's got Aaron Anderson, he's got a wealth of targets to aim at there. And the defense seems to be a lot better this year. Obviously, Perkins had his torn ACL last year. He's healthy now. Just play him as an edge. Please. Play him as an edge. But I think they're going to get there, and I think Brian Kelly's going to shock a lot of people. I think it's time for him to. But I've got a different opponent for them in there, and again, it's a guy I've had a soft spot for in the past because of the
Please
jobs
say
he's
it.
done. I've got Alabama winning
Oh,
the SEC next year. I believe in Kalen DeBoer. I'm not sold on his decision to put Ty Simpson in charge at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think
Ty
he
Simpson
should.
will have the job that long.
I think he should have gone Keelan Russell. I think Keelan Russell will be in charge by the end of the
I think
year,
he will be
but
too.
yeah, but he's recruited very well again for and of course the Alabama recruiting class is great. I think year one was always going to be what's it going to be like without Nick Saban, and it was always going to be overshadowed by that. And there was some bad losses in there, the Vandy game and everything like that. It's just that's not going to happen again. Kalen DeBoer has a track record of being a winner. Back to his time at Fresno State, his time at Washington, he creates great teams and eventually he finds success. And I think for me, year two is going to be much, much better for him. I think the schedule for them works out better. They've not got any of the really tough games on the road. It's going to be in their hands as to what they do. But yeah, I think with Texas, it depends what happens with Arch, but that Texas team, it's great. Its defense is great, but its offense lost a lot of pieces coming into this year. And I think Arch is just going to take a year to get going. And then after that, he's going to be absolutely unstoppable. In terms of Georgia, again, not sold on the quarterback.
I know. For the
Defense
Stockton,
and the defensive line for the first time in forever, like it's got high star recruits and everything on there, but it's not got the production on the line yet. Not the guaranteed production that it's always had. It usually loses one bit at a time. This time, it's just the makeup of that team. Not entirely sold on it. So I've got Alabama beating LSU in what will be a fantastic game for two coaches who really, really need it. So yeah, I've got Alabama beating LSU in the SEC championship. I just realized I've not been reading the names of all the teams out in here, but you know who's in the SEC. Where were we at? Bloody hell. Getting all this wrong. Da, da, da. So yeah, obviously Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. Don't think Florida are going to do it this year. Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Miss State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. So obviously last year, in terms of the SEC championship game, it was 24. Oh, Lord. So it was Georgia beating Texas last year. In terms of the predictions we made, I just needed to find them. So we did actually both have Georgia to win. You had them over Ole Miss. I had them over Tennessee. So we kind of swung and missed at the opponents,
won't
but
be
we
doing that
got
again.
nope, nope, no more Ole Miss. Ole Miss is just dead to Ryan now. So and Tennessee is to me. But we got the winner. So actually, all things considered, we didn't do too bad last year. There were a couple of conferences we completely whiffed on, but for the most part, we did get some good ones right. And people might say Georgia's a given thing, but they weren't last year. So, kudos to us for that. Right. Let me just check I've not missed anything in the chat. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Hope you're all doing well in there, as I say. Anything you want to let us know about as the show's going on, do so. Lisa goes, so what do you both think of Georgia this year? I mean, obviously, I just mentioned it a little bit there, but again, we're not sold on the quarterback, are we? I think that's the really big issue for them, not sold on him at all. And obviously, Tate's gone. That offensive line, we've got to wonder what it's like because Tate was that offensive line. He was a big part of it. Replacing him from a leadership perspective is going to be huge. Don't get me wrong, they'll be good, but
The secondary was very young last year.
oh yeah,
Probably, yeah. They'll be better this year because, like I say, a lot of them were very inexperienced.
yeah, it's the trenches. Obviously, it would seem stupid saying the trenches would be bad. It's just they've lost a lot of their trenches, and it's just how do they rebuild it? But they're still a fantastic team. KJ Bolden's one of the best defensive backs in the country. Period. CJ Allen's probably going to be getting looks for the Butkus and all that. So they're still going to be a tremendous team. Brent goes, I got LSU. Finally disagrees, Sir Anthony. So he's got LSU winning the whole thing. And Brent also goes, Auburn is going to be sneaky good. I thought about it
Yeah,
and I very quickly shut it down because I'm like, they're not going to come above Georgia, Texas, Bama, and LSU. I thought about it. I think they will be a 7-8 win team this year. I feel like that's hot take enough.
yeah. We'll hear later. I'm still on the Auburn train.
Hmm? Yeah, no, no, we like this Auburn team. Like they
Not
might
the
have,
whole, but there are guys that
yeah.
I am all over.
They've got one of the best wide receiver pairings in the SEC, so they've got talent there. If Jackson Arnold is anywhere near as good as we were led to believe he would be, that will be a really good team. So yeah, we're not sleeping on Auburn here this year. We're really hoping to to this. Marmarker goes, it's fun to look back. Sometimes it is Marmarker, but like with the Heisman stuff later, I look back in shame. Let's move this on. So we're going to go into the positional groups now, those the positional awards for the end of the year, and every one of them is a full name apart from the the Beletnikov. Don't know why they don't call it the Fred Beletnikov, but anywho. But we're starting off with the Davy
I
O'Brien.
just checked the
So
Bednarik and the Bronco. They're the same award, aren't they?
yeah, so we
Yeah.
always give two. It's
Yeah.
in the past, we have allowed leniency here because if you get one, they're both for defense. They're just two different, and it's the only reason the two of them happens for one reason. So if the Chuck Bednarik one wins the Bronco Nagurski, we still get the points. So yeah, they're just two defensive awards. But we're going to start with Davy O'Brien in the quarterback room. So that was won by Cam Ward last year. And I actually kind of feel ashamed that I didn't pick him because I really like him as a quarterback, and I don't just didn't think he was going to do what he did. You had Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. I, in the first of two very bad decisions that day, had Connor Weigman from Texas A&M, so we got nowhere close with that. So we need some bounce back this year. Who've you got as your Davy O'Brien Award winner for best quarterback in the nation?
It's Cade. It's Mr. Klubnik. It feels like low-hanging fruit, but sometimes you just got to go with the low-hanging fruit. You've just got to go with the quarterback, like you say, that has got an absolutely insane young receiver core. For me, like a top three head coach in the nation and a guy that is trending towards going top three in the NFL draft. The stars are aligning. Clemson's back, and Cade is going to leave college on a high, carried out on arms, like you say, like that. Like they're bringing Jesus down from the cross. They're going to carry him out, and he's going to pass over them, lead them to glory.
Oh, I just love the analogies. I do. So I've gone also maybe slightly low hanging fruit. I've got Garrett Nussmeier for the Davy O'Brien this year, and like this is, and again, it's trying to find a quarterback who's going to level up the yardage this year. And Kate Glubnik's got a great trio there.
Leaving Camp Cade or Camp Garrett, I feel like that's
Yeah,
the nation will be divided.
yeah, so obviously Garrett Nussmeier has Barry and Brown and Aaron Anderson to aim at this year. I think he's going to get a lot of yards. I think the LSU team is going to get into the playoffs and put him on a stage to go forward and win this thing. I did think about Cade as well, but in the interest of trying to do different players, I was pretty sure you were going to pick Cade as well. And if you're honest, between the two of them, if I think Garrett will have better stats, I think Cade will have a better year, but I think Garrett will have better stats. And sometimes for these awards, the stats win. So, we've gone for some of the big guys there, but yeah, we'll see what goes on with that. We got the Doak Walker Award next for the best running back in the nation. And last year, of course, there was only one person ever going to win it. Ashton Jonty won that thing by a bit of a landslide. Ryan had Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State going back to back, but sadly he got injured. Never happened. I did have a Marion Hampton from UNC who would, on any other year in the last 15 years, have won that thing. But Ashton Jonty just decided he was going to go for 3,000 stupid odd yards in one season. So, did all right on that one. I got the runner up for it, but lots of running backs have left college this year, right? This is a brand new open field. There's a lot of participants for this. There's no outright favorite, I don't think. For me, I have gone with, and I don't know whether you've picked him as well, but I've picked Mackie Hughes from Oregon to go win the Doak Walker this year. I think he is going to stat pad himself to death in that Oregon offense, especially while Dante Moore works his way in, makes himself feel comfortable, gets the chemistry going with Decorian Moore. Like I think he's going to run for 1,500 yards again, and he'll do the receiving stuff as well. I think he's going to get a ton of touchdowns. Like this to me feels like as good as I feel very good about Mackie Hughes going absolutely to town this year, and I think he'll be the talk of draft circles in 12 months' time, even though he isn't right now, well, not 12 months, but in the next cycle. I got Mackie Hughes doing it. Who have you got winning the Doak Walker this year?
I've got Mr. Singleton. I've got Nicholas going out with a bang. Whatever happens this year with Penn State fall on their face, he's going to go down as a Big Ten legend and one of the best players in modern era of Penn State football. He's so close to smashing so many records and being like at least top three in nearly every major category. He's going to go out with a bang, like I said. And even when he splits carries, it doesn't matter. He's going to have a huge year. Like I said, I still feel like he's going to carry Drewella on his back. If Penn State are going to do anything this year, he's still going to go for their run game. I think he's going to go on and go out there. He wants to be remembered like Saquon was, and he's got the chance to potentially do that. And if he can have success in the playoffs, have more success than Barkley did too, on his way to also being a first round draft pick, I feel.
Yeah. Um, Okay, so I feel like if you asked people and you just said blindly these were our two predictions, I think we've picked what the other people would expect us to pick the opposite of. I feel like I would have picked Singleton and you would have picked Mackey, so hey, we're still thinking along the same lines. We're moving on now to the Beletnikov, the big one, the wide receiver of the year, and I know. There was not a lot of happy people in regards to last year's Beletnikov and what eventually happened with Travis Hunter winning it and his two-way performance and maybe better guys out there. But I had Kevin Concepcion winning it last year, the NC State breakout wide receiver before they traitorously transferred away. He had a great year, but not a Beletnikov year. You did have Tetiora McMillan from Arizona last year. Some claim was the rightful owner of the Beletnikov last year and didn't get it. So I feel like, on any other given year, you would have got that one right, but you usually do a lot better on the Beletnikov. You guessed it right in 2023 with Marvin Harrison Jr. So, Mr. Receiver Man, who've you got for 2025 to win the Beletnikov?
I'm looking to make what essentially should be a hat trick. Yeah, forget. I'm going Cam Coleman. I'm going to Auburn, man.
Oh,
I think this is his year. I think he builds on what was, like, say, a stellar year last year. I think, like, say, the whole room of quarterback Auburn QBs, everyone is just going to look at him. He will be the first read on nearly every player. Like I say, he's already shown that he can go up against the best SEC DBs. This year, he makes a name for himself. And like I say, it's not just the top two, like I say, they're on a pedestal, and then everyone else. I think Cam's coming for that award and he's going to shock the nation and have an outstanding year. And Auburn are going to be sneaky competitive. And in those big games, he's going to give the likes of Georgia, Bama, Texas, LSU, he's going to give their defense nightmares on his way to scooping up the Blatnikov.
love that. And that is Ryan knows his stuff. So, put your money on Cam Coleman now, potentially going to get the Beletnikov there. Love that pick. For me, I've gone down a little bit of a different route. I think there's a team who's going to win the Natty very clearly this year, and I think there's going to be a star on that team who is truly going to be born. I've got Antonio Williams out of Clemson. I think he's going to be one of Cade Klubnik's favorite targets this year. I think it was 900 yards, 11 touchdowns last year in what is essentially a triple threat option with Bryant Westco, etc. But you feel like if there's going to be a big time playmaker who's going to make the big time plays for this team this year, I feel like Antonio Williams is going to be the one that does it. This is an outside their shot. I don't think there'll be many people putting this in there with them having the three in the room. But I love the way he plays football. He's a genius in the way he runs his routes, the way he gets open, the amount of routes he has available. And there's a reason Kate Klubnik loves him so much. So yeah, I've got Antonio Williams from Clemson winning the Beletnikov. And Ryan has Cam Coleman. We've got the John Mackey
This was hard.
Award
This was one of the hard
next.
ones.
Yeah, it was because it's tight ends, and in recent years,
There's been a
um,
standout in every year, but this
y-
year there isn't that household name.
No, there isn't. And it's really is tough. So the John Mackey Award winner last year was Tyler Warren out of Penn State, which some again maybe claim was not the right one. I had Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. You had Colston Loveland from Michigan. Again, one maybe you got a little bit robbed out of. I didn't think Tyler Warren was the best tight end last year. I thought Colston Loveland was. But this is very difficult to predict. And for me, going first on the snake, maybe the low-hanging fruit one because he has the potential to get to a natty. I have picked Max Clare from Ohio State. I believe like his stat line is a receiving tight end. I think he might break the 1,000-yard barrier potentially this year, depending on how much, Carnell Tate and that get after Jeremiah Smith. But especially for an incoming new quarterback, is saying as well, he's going to rely on his tight end early days, get him some good yardage. He's going to put up some numbers. I think just the system he's in and how he's playing, I've got Max Clare to go and win that one. So, yeah, that's who I've got. Max Clare, Ohio State to win the John Mackey. Who've you gone in terms of your tight end this year?
I had him, and then I scribbled his name out. I'm going RJ Maryland at SMU. Now, this guy, like I said, 2023, he had 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Last year, he was on pace to smash those numbers. But if it weren't for injury, which cut his season cruelly short after just 7 games, he would have put up some massive numbers. SMU has lost a lot of weapons, but they're bringing back Kevin Jennings, like I say, who is their center. Like I say, he is their quarterback now. It's fully ingrained in the system. And I think if RJ, who's now fully fit this year, can play all 12 games, I think he might put up the most receiving yards of any tight end in the country. Like I say, he can easily pass 10 touchdowns. He was getting close to, like I say, smashing the numbers last year. He's going to be a big focal point for what they're going to do this year. I think he'll fly totally under the radar, and he could be one of their, maybe their leading receiver all in the year. And they're a team, like I say, that they will maybe sneak into that ACC title game. They've still got the potential to do it. I think this man is going to be one of those integral pieces. And like I say, he will be an afterthought on a lot of the tight end lists this year. There's a few names I looked at. I thought that'll get more love. Some people probably don't know who RJ Maryland is, but I think that kind of helps his case if you put some big numbers.
No, I like it. I feel like I've taken the simple one and not put the effort into it there. So, you're right. He's a great player. Looking forward to seeing him this year. So, RJ Maryland potentially for the John Mackey. I've got Max Clare. Now we're going to go to the most misleading of
I
these
hate this one.
awards.
It should not be one award.
No. So the Outland Trophy is next, and it says it is for the best interior lineman in the country. Now, to me, you, and everybody else, interior means either defensive tackle or center or guard. But apparently, to the powers that be out there, it includes tackle as well, because the 2024 winner of the Outland was Kelvin Banks, who was the left tackle for Texas. So we're just going to assume this means trench player this year for the Outland. And of course, that is very difficult to predict. There are a lot of trench players in football. In terms of who we said was going to get it last year, you had Walter Nolan, I had Mason Graham. I think they're both very good shouts in their own right. I think we did very well on that, and both of them were high draft picks, going to be stud NFL players. So I think we did good. But Kelvin Banks won it. But it's very impossible. But who do you think, trench wise, might be the best player in the country next year and win the Outland?
I'm going with his namesake. I'm going Caleb Banks from Florida.
Ooh.
I said he is a crazy outside shout, but the 6'6", 255 last year had a breakout year in his junior year. Like I said, 21 tackles, he had 4.5 sacks, like a force fumble recovery. He's worked his way now really into that rotation and becoming that massive anchor. This guy looks like he's built like a future first round pick. And then you look who's outside of him. Like, so you got Sapp, the edge rusher. Like I said, it's like handling those guys out there. I think Caleb is primed for a monster year. I think he's going to make offensive linemen in the SEC pay all year. I think he could easily double that sack total. Now he's an ingrained starter. He's a senior. He's grown into his frame. I think he's really going to shock a lot of people this year and be that go-to guy. And I think he's one of the best defensive players in the SEC. Kind of guy that flies under the radar that wins this kind of award. Like I say, a strong interior, like I say, gritty tackle that plays upright. But I say he's very comfortable playing with both his hands on the ground.
Oh, I love it. I've also gone defensive tackle, so there's a train of thought here. So I love the call for Caleb Banks. That defensive line for Florida could be damn good this year. You will know who mine is. I will say
I know
the
who this is.
oh. You love him. I'm not one who's shown much love for him so far. You absolutely adore him, and I think for the
Oh,
reason that he is one of the best, he might be the best run defending defensive tackle in the nation. He got offered a very big contract by a Moneybags team this year to go play in the Big 12, and I had him as one of my, defensive tackles to watch. I've got Lee Hunter at Texas Tech. You think that this guy is probably one of the best run stuffing defensive tackles in the entire country, who is going to be playing on a line with David Bailey, Romello Height, and that stud superstar they got from, oh God, I can't remember if they got him out of the G5, but that is going to be one hell of a defensive line for Texas Tech this year. If they're going to go win the Big 12, I think Lee Hunter has the size, the brutality, the aggression which you would associate with the Outland. And if they get to the playoffs, specifically, you can get a playoff win in there. Like he's unique in what he does. You know, you don't find many players like him and what he's capable of doing, especially at his size. I looked at this and I just thought, like, he has something that a lot of other players don't, and that's what can win him the Outland Trophy. If he could get sort of half a dozen sacks this year as well and show the pass rush ability, then, like, he's absolutely in the conversation for this. So I've got Lee Hunter going for my Outland Trophy winner. Then we've got the defensive ones. So it doesn't matter which order you do this in, but this is basically for best defender in the nation. And there's the Chuck Bednarik and there's the Bronco Nagurski. I'll do the Chuck Bednarik first, but again, it doesn't really matter what order you get these in. Who are going to be some of the best defensive players in the country? And this is low-hanging fruit. He's just had one of the best true freshman seasons in history, and he could go as a number one overall pick in a future draft. But I do have Colin Simmons at this point going for one of the defensive awards. I think especially this year, Texas are gonna go to win the whole thing. Arch is on this team. He is the true legitimate playmaker on this side who can change games on his own in a moment. You expect him he's not gonna have a down year as a sophomore. I don't think I expect him to just be as good as he was before, and he's gonna be right in the mix for this award. So I do have Colin Simmons from Texas there. Who's the first of your two defensive guys, Ryan?
well, spoiler, my Bronco Nagurski was Colin Simmons. So we're totally on the same wavelength there. But
Oh, there
Ben,
we go.
I've got Anthony Hill Jr. I've got his teammate. This guy, like I said, played in 30 games now for Texas, started 22 with them. He might be the most well-rounded linebacker, do-it-all guy in the country right now. Integral last year to what they wanted to do. He is just a menace in every aspect of the game. He's grown into that physical. He's put on the weight. He's put on the muscle. An absolute athletic freak. And he had an absolute stellar year last year. It helps having that defensive front in him, which frees him up to do what he wants to do. But this year, he's going to take it to another level. And I reckon he's going to go out there and he's going to dominate. Like I say, he's going to get sacks, the forced fumbles, the interceptions, everything. He will be that marshal, that general in the middle of the field. And he's one of those QBs, just stay away from him. I'll run plays away from him. I don't want to throw in the middle knowing he's there. Like I say, he's one of those kind of guys that you kind of actively avoid and you want your offensive line to call out wherever he is before the play is snapped because you just know he's trouble.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, great. We finally got. I didn't know if we'd match on anyone there, but I was also thinking about Anthony Hill and having pairs. But I did have a look last year, and the DBs do win these awards as well, and linebackers do win. But again, I'm going back to there's probably a team that is going to go to the Natty. I've got Wade Wood as the linebacker out of
Okay.
Clemson. I think he's going to be your team captain on that Clemson defense. He's going to be one of the outstanding players on that defense, which is going to get you to like a lot of hype will go to the defensive line, but he's the engine that keeps that entire thing going. And I think as an outside shot to get a defensive player of the year, I think he's absolutely in that conversation. And there's no weird prospects around like Travis Hunter this year, the two-way guys who's going to get put in front of him. So I've got Wade Woodhouse from Clemson. I do think he's incredibly underrated, and I think he's going to be a massive part of that title winning team this year, should they get there. In terms of last year, I mean, the two you picked James Pierce Jr. and Will Johnson, and I picked James Pierce Jr. We actually agreed again, and Sebastian Castro, but the awards were won. The Nagurski was won by Kennard, the South Carolina edge,
Yeah.
and the Bednarik was won by Travis Hunter. Ugh.
Yeah.
Can't win the Biletnikoff
That
and
was
the
a lazy.
Bednarik.
That was a lazy
Yeah,
pick.
yeah, can't do that. So yeah,
I
we
agree
didn't
with
get.
you. I love Kyle and I wanted to draft him, but I
Yeah.
didn't like either of those picks.
Yeah, this is literally every defensive player in the country is up for this. So picking these is bloody hard. So yeah, no wonder we didn't get either of those. Now we got the Dick Butkus next for best linebacker in the nation. So we're snaking. This is me first up here. And maybe again cheating. I've got Deontay Lawson from Alabama, potentially that. I do have Alabama winning the SEC this year, so I kind of want to make these predictions go in lockstep with one another. But I think he's a very highly underrated linebacker. You know, this whole Alabama team's kind of just going under the radar because of how bad a year they had last year. But he's one of the best linebackers in college football. Fancy again from a system with Kalen DeBoer. They're really good at developing their linebackers. Alabama have been in general for years. So I kind of have taken a one at the top here, but I've got Deontay Lawson for Alabama as my Butkus Award winner this year. Who've you got winning the Butkus, Ryan?
Yeah, this might surprise a few. I've got Whit Weeks. So
Oh no,
I've got
I thought you would have done that anyhow. I know you love him.
Yeah, like I say, he's coming into his own now. He had a stellar year last year, and yeah, put Harold Perkins back on the edge, please. He's not a middle linebacker. Like I say, this is what Witt does best than anyone. Sacks, interceptions, tackles. Like I say, he's grown in his frame. He's now become, like I say, a leader. And that's sophomore year, like I say, he's learned, he's taken the mantle from his brother West, who's now moved on as a senior. Will probably phase him out now. This is Witt's defense now. Potential, like say, a top 50 draft pick, whichever class he declares to. But yeah, he will be the defensive coordinator's right hand man. He is going to be one calling the shots now for me. And I think, like I say, he's going to use every bit of that muscle athletic frame to just impact the game every way possible as a true every down linebacker this year. I just think he's going to be someone that will marshal the middle outfield and he will make his presence felt in every aspect of the game. Yeah, he had good, respectable numbers last year. Like I say, with who's gone this year and how they realign and shuffle some of those guys around now, I think he's going to have massive chances this year. It's his mantle now to take over.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think CJ Allen was the other one I thought of, but
My other one was Sammy Brown
oh, the
in sophomore
yeah,
Clemson. Yeah, he had a
yeah,
stellar freshman year. I think them, like I say, him and Wade they're going to be a crazy pair this year.
yeah. It's crazy how much
This
homegrown
might be
talent.
the most wide open award to focus because the level
Yeah.
of linebacker play this year is just going to be off the charts.
Yeah, linebacker is going to be great. Maybe not necessarily for this year in terms of the draft, but it's talent that's emerging in a year or two. Linebacker is going to be one of the most stacked draft classes going. So absolutely agree there. In terms of our predictions last year for the Butkus, it was won by Jalen Walker from Georgia. You had Harold Perkins from LSU, so you're sticking with your LSU ones, just not that one. I had Nicholas Martin from Oklahoma State, and then Oklahoma State went in with the worst team in the Power Four last year, so he was never ever going to win that one. We've got four more of these left now. The Jim Thorpe for defensive back, so that is safeties, cornerbacks, all those back there. Who is winning the Jim Thorpe for you this year, Rye?
This is how I narrowed it down to two people. One of them, the interceptions back. I've got Dylan Tyneman. Now he
Ooh.
seems like a forgotten man because of that second sophomore year at Purdue where he kind of just fell off the face of the earth. But honestly, I'm just putting that down to the jabronis he was playing with and the terrible coaching. He fell off the face of the earth, but he's going to go to the Ducks now. He's got a new lease of life. And I think we get back that freshman kind of guy. I think he's going to dominate. The Big Ten for me is by far the best conference for safety play in the nation. There was four that I could have listed right here. Like I said, I think he gets back his mojo this year, and I think he lights up the world. And I think he's going to become an instant superstar playmaker and just embody everything about the award, coming off what was a very down year where he struggled. Like I say, probably emotionally of how bad Purdue were doing, but also like I say, the things just weren't going his way. Look, like I say right now, but yeah, it's all going to come together this year. He's back with a vengeance. He's in his villain arc.
Dylan Tyneman no longer playing with jabronis. Really interesting. I've also picked a safety. Um, I've picked KJ Bolden. I absolutely adore KJ Bolden. Like his true freshman year last year, the stats don't jump off the page for you, but like very few actual true freshmen walk into that Georgia team and start day one, despite their high five-star recruitment profile. He did. He's walked into that team and he has held a position there since the start. Now he's got his true freshman year out the way. He's played a lot of snaps already. His rocket is going to the moon in his sophomore year. And, this may be a year where that Georgia defense gets tested a little more than usual. But you saw him play last year. He's so good against the run. He's tough. He's dismissive of all these big running backs who come upon him. He'll lay a hit so hard on you, you will not forget about it for weeks. Like the way he plays, and he plays it with such intelligence as well. Like, he's going to be one of the best true sophomore DBs in the country, period. And I feel like this is going to be his big breakout year. We're going to start seeing the takeaways this year. We're going to start seeing the big splash plays that everybody remembers that we didn't necessarily see last year. We saw all the grunt work last year. We're going to see a bit of both. So I'm really looking forward to that. So KJ Bolden, I have getting the Jim Thorpe this year. Um, in terms of our predictions from a year ago, I don't think we did so well with this one. So the Jim Thorpe was won by Jahdae Barron last year. So safety won it last year. In terms of our predictions we made for the Jim Thorpe, you had Caleb Downs from Ohio State, which was a good shout in itself. I don't think he was that far off getting it. I had my guy Aiden White from NC State, who yeah did not have a good year at all. So yeah, we didn't get that, but you were closer than me, absolutely. So we'll see. Maybe the safeties will do us proud again this year. Then we got onto the Luke Rosa, the place kickers. This is very tough this year. I mean, generally you at least get a marker on some kickers going into it. It feels like there's no distinguished kickers out there this year, all apart from one. It's going to be the only time I mention Michigan this evening. I've got
Me
Dominic
too.
Zavada. Yeah, Dominic Zavada is probably the
I thought he
outstanding
declared for the
kicker.
draft.
I did. But he's gone back to Michigan. Obviously, he was an elite kicker at Arkansas State for a few years. Came up to the Big Ten last year. I think he missed one field goal, if I remember rightly. Like the dude was
He's like
absolutely clutch.
95.6, and he had a long of 56. He's
Yeah,
got an NFL leg in him.
he's got an NFL leg and he's got NFL accuracy, and he's going to be an NFL kicker one day. I had a feeling this might be the one where we did come together on it, but I think Dominic Zavada for me, he is the
He's also
outstanding.
going to get a lot of opportunities because the offense is going to stutter under Bryce Underwood. He's going to get a lot of attempts at kicks.
Um, Ryan said that, Brent, not me. So any complaints you might have about any comments made about Bryce Underwood, please address
It's the
them to
only award they're
Ryan
going to win all
and
year,
not me.
so they should be rooting for Zavada.
Oh my. Okay, yeah, we're just trying to make people mad this year. So in terms of last year, the Luke Rosa was actually won by Kenneth Almendares from Louisiana.
I
They
thought the
got to
guy at
the
Boise State was going to win. I thought.
You did. You had Jonah
Almost.
Delmar. You had Jonah Delmar from Boise State. I had Andre Borregales from Miami of the
They were
Hurricanes.
all very good, to be fair, though.
Nah, yeah, they were. But the Louisiana kicker was clutch. If I remember right, I don't know if he missed a kick all year. It was a damn good season for him, and Louisiana completely overdid expectations. We'll move on, and we've got the George Munger up next for head coach. Now, traditionally, I've done very well in this. I picked Kalen DeBoer for the George Munger when they had that last great season at Washington, and I've usually done pretty well, but it's interesting this year. A lot of the head coaches at big programs are new, and there's a lot of new faces around. A lot of the old faces not doing so well. Who do you actually have for the George Munger this year?
I think I I think you know who I've picked. I've gone with an old face. And like I said, I've got a guy that is going to climb to the back of the top of the pile again. He's dipped.
Oh, Dabo.
Well, I've got Dabo.
I thought you might.
I think Clemson are not going to get, I don't think they're going to get to national title game, but I think he's going to make them what they were under Trevor Lawrence again. He's dipped in the portal, got like guys like Will Held and that to come in and bolster the defensive line, which he's very rarely shied away from. And that stubbornness sometimes has irritated me. Like I said, like because it's such a prestigious team, so many out of the portal would love to play for it, but he's always been so straight and narrow. But yeah, this is the year, like I say, he makes them national prominent again. They, like I said, they should bully the ACC, should make a good run in the playoffs, and everyone will love him again. And I don't think anyone should have ever got off him. I feel like I like him as a person. Like I said,
Yeah,
I've always liked him as a coach. He's
yeah.
always done right by players, and he's got so many players ready for the next level.
Yeah. Oh, of course, Brent was going to mention Cole Sullivan for linebacker in the year. Brent, if Cole Sullivan wins the Butkus, then I'll do whatever you want me to on stream. I will make that bet now. You can decide what I do for an entire show. It's not happening. But yeah, Dabo, I knew as soon as you said that, I thought, yeah, he's going to go for Dabo, absolutely. I've actually gone out the box here. Um, and I've actually picked John Sumrall from Tulane for the George Munger because I've got him going on and taking the American, and I believe they're good enough to potentially go and cause an upset in the playoffs, depending who they get drawn against and depending where they're at. But it's a hard job to follow from Willie Fritz. Turned that into such a great program, but the way he's got about it this year, if the quarterback's right. And Willie Fritz did win the George Munger himself about 3 years ago, so they will go into the group of five to do it here. So I don't know. Some role strikes me out because of his just how good he's been his entire career and how he keeps getting better, stop to stop to stop. I think he's going to start getting his national recognition now. Tulane win the American this year. I can see Sumrall getting the George Munger. I'd be proud if that one happened. In terms of 24, Marcus Freeman won the George Munger last year, which I can agree with what he did with that program after all the tap he'd taken. Um, you'd got Ryan Day from Ohio State, so I mean, I feel like that's a very good guess in itself. He went ahead and won the Natty. Probably on any other year would have got it. I picked Josh Heupel. Oh dear. I had a lot of faith in Tennessee last year, and look, like you say, when you look back now, you think, what was I thinking? What was I thinking with that Tennessee team last year? I don't get it at all. And then we move on to the crown jewel, the one of them all, the Heisman Trophy for the best player in the entirety of college football, quarterback, sorry, in college football. Who've you got winning
Hate
the
this a lot.
Heisman
It's
this
so
year?
hard not to just pick the low-hanging fruit purely because of its positional bias. So I haven't. I've gone off-piste.
Oh my.
I've gone Jeremiah Love.
Oh, he's gone the running back.
I think, funnily enough, I don't think he was a Doak Walker, but I think no matter what Notre Dame do, even let's say if they have shaky quarterback player, I think he runs through everything in his path. And in the passing game screens, I just think he puts together, like I said, the most yards in the country. And I think he just goes out there and smashes it. Like I say, then goes on and gets drafted top 15. I just think, yeah, I think he's going to be unstoppable this year. And he will get a crazy amount of touches from an inexperienced quarterback.
Oh, I love it. He's gone for the running back. If that lands, you will be the only person in the world that
Last
predicted
winner,
that.
running back, was it Reggie Bush?
Probably yes.
I believe it was Reggie Bush.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going back 20 years, so like I love it though. I hope he gets 2,000 yards, and if they win the Natty and he gets 2,000 plus yards, you never know. He could absolutely go and do that. You made me feel bad now because I feel like I've picked the low-hanging fruit. I've picked the obvious one. I've picked who I think's going to win the Natty, and I've picked the quarterback. I picked Cade. Um, I've gone very off-piece the last couple of years. I've had Drew Allo winning it. I've had Connor Weigman winning it. I've been very, very foolish in some of my picks. So I'm going to go for a safer option this year, and I'm going to at least look like I can do this. I mean, yeah, MVP on the potential natty winners, that's going to get you a look in for the Heisman. So you just have to use a bit of logic with this. No complicated explanation. Yeah, I've got Cade winning that. And then in terms of the Heisman Award winner from last year, I didn't actually pick Connor last year. I must have changed him to my quarterback. So Travis Hunter won the Heisman last year. Travis Hunter just won a lot of awards last year, which I feel yeah, it's a shame for that. But you had Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, and I picked Carson Beck out of Georgia, which is probably worse. So yeah, we just didn't do well in the Heisman at all, which is a shame. But hopefully we do better this year. Yeah, Jeremiah Love for you, Cade Klubnik for me. All right, let's get on through the last of these. So we're going to go into the statistical.
Fun fact, I don't have a single award winner leading any statistical category.
Neither do I. Oh, in fact, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Because
I
see, some
separate the two.
yeah, because statistical awards can be won by group of five players who are obviously not going to win major things. So we did better in the statistical awards last year. So in terms of so question ones we got for this. First off, we got passing yards. Which quarterback in the country is going to have the most passing yards of anyone else? This is fair open game because there are a lot of air raid teams in the group of five where the numbers can be put up. I have a sneaky feeling if you've gone a little off-piste into the group of five that we might have the same person here, but I'll let you start this one. Who have you picked for most passing yards this year?
I've not gone G5, but I've not gone with the big name. I've gone with someone that was pretty close last year, and their offense has not changed. I've gone with everyone's very adjacent favorite quarterback. I've got Josh Hoover. The
Ooh.
TCU offense is not going to change just because Jack Beck is gone. Like I said, there's still plenty of talent wide receivers there, and it's basically under Kendall Briles still air raid. And he had 3,949 last year, which was not far off the lead. That's probably not going to change. And I still think he's a dark horse for the NFL draft. Got crazy big arm, like I say, he's very accurate, like 67%. He's going to get close to 4,000 yards again. He may even be forced to surpass it to keep that team competitive. I think he passes for the most yards in the nation. Even if they're always playing from behind, he's just going to constantly throw the ball.
Mm. Yeah, no, I can. I should probably have thought you might have gone in that direction, but yeah, Josh Hoover for passing yards, I can absolutely see that. Me, again, maybe given the way they play, this one might be a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but I've got Maverick McIver for Western Kentucky
Totally thought about him. Pure spread offense.
because obviously that's what he used to do at Abilene Christian. This guy can throw for days, he can throw for miles, and he's going to go into the air raid system at Western Kentucky. They're not changing what they're doing there. And, they're going to not have as good a run game as always. I think Maverick McIver is going to ask to throw a lot next year. And I think he's statistically going to fill his boots up against some of these CUSA defenses. He'll throw for 500 yards in games and lose, like he did for Abilene Christian last year against Texas Tech. Was it 506 yards and four odd touchdowns, and he still lost, which was a shame. But yeah, I think Maverick's a good chance for statistical leader in that category. In terms of who we had last year, so it was Kyle McCord who led the nation last year, 4,760 passing yards overall. You had Quinn Ewers out of Texas. I bet Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. Dylan finished eighth. He had 3,854. Quinn finished 13th. He had 3,469. So we technically had two top 15 guys, but we did not
But he
pick
missed
Kyle
a few
McCord.
games as well, like I say. It'd have been
Yeah,
closer, but yeah.
he'd have been closer. So, but yeah, Kyle McCord got that one last year. Moving into the rushing yards category now, and I have gone completely off balance here because this is an entire projection, but I'm looking at a team who values their running backs highly, who gives them a lot of yards, and he's the next big guy who's going to be there.
I hope
I've
you
got,
pick Tiger.
hey,
Is it a Tiger?
it's not a Tiger, it is a Kansas State Wildcat. I've got Dylan Edwards the heir apparent to the DJ Giddens. Like he's going to be the guy who takes over that bulk workload in the Wildcats offense. And as much as they like to throw the ball, they run the ball a lot as well. Giddens has run for like 1,500 yards. I know, back going back a few years now, they've had a few guys who've really loaded up, and I just fancy him to come out of left field because he's the new guy. No one's going to be looking at him potentially as an award winner for this. And Kansas State are always very reliable for getting a 1,000, 1,500 yard rusher on the team. And I think he might be the guy who does it this year. So it's a bit of a wild card guess. But I got Dylan Edwards out of Kansas State. Who do you have as rushing yard leader this year?
I've gone with a new face to the SEC. I've gone with Ahmad Hardy, the Missouri Tiger, the former ULM Warhawk, pounded the rock 230 times last year. He's joining a team that has got a total question mark in Bo Pribula, which tells me, and we've just seen who, Corey Schrager, guys like that, just pound the rock at Missouri. They want to run the ball no matter how good the receivers are. They're a runs heavy school. And Hardy had a stellar year last year. He's small, but I say he's impactful, he's powerful, he's shifty, just a true sophomore. You'll probably get at least 200 carries again. He'll go behind, like I say, an offensive line that is built to run the ball. He will have to take the pressure off a quarterback that even though he's in his senior year, he's still relatively new being a starter, which means he tells me he runs on the game. So yeah, everything is primed for Hardy to be the next big thing in football, and he's landed in, I think, a perfect spot. I think he goes wild this year.
Yeah, I can't wait for people to see him in a bigger environment this year. He is going to absolutely blow up. I love that pick there. I think Ahmad Hardy's going to be tremendous in that Missouri system. In terms of how we did last year, we didn't do too bad actually. Now, obviously, Ashton Jonte won the rushing yards award last year with billions of yards, as they say. I actually picked Ashton Jonte to win that, so I got that one right. You did pick Amari and Hampton, who finished fourth, who got like 1,700 yards himself. So like we
Any
were
other
very
year,
good.
you have a freak season that wins.
Yeah, any other year. So like it's crazy. So Cam Scatterboo was second with 1,700. Trey Stewart got 1,662. And Marion Hampton got 1,660. So he's literally 2 yards short of being top three. And he did it on the least attempts of everybody as well. So Ashton Johnson had like 90 more carries than him. So who knows? But we did pretty well on that one. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Receiving yards. Who is going to have the most receiving yards in football this year? So, Snake, back to you. Who have you got?
I'm not overthinking it. Ryan Williams. We saw a taste of what he could do last year in a small sample size. And yeah, he's ready for the big time. Like I said, whatever the quarterback situation will be, how many times we see the quarterback change this year, they're probably going to be like, where's Ryan? How do we get the ball to Ryan? He's going to make things happen. Only had caught 48 passes this year, 865 yards. You're going to target him at least twice this year. More like he's going to probably see like 100 targets. Don't know how many of them will catch. Yeah, he's going to put some monster yardage, even on team, like say that maybe middle of the road, like you say, may be pushing for double digit wins. But yeah, he's the big boy target now. Because like I said, they like the tight ends, but a lot of them have moved on. A lot of the big boy targets have moved on now. This is the fresh blood. And when they like someone, they usually go pretty heavy after them.
Yeah, no, absolutely can get that one. I thought about that one myself. I'm gonna lie. I caved to pressure on this one. I have picked Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. Like it's
It was
just
one of them. You're even
it.
it's one of two.
Yeah, it feels so lazy. I love to be outside the pocket and think differently to everyone else, but I just think, you know, if the first read from whoever's going to be quarterback this year, if it's not clear, they're going to be looking where Jeremiah Smith is, and he's NFL ready already. Like he's going to be open wherever he's up against. He's just going to be a statistical nightmare this year. So, yeah, I've gone for the very obvious one in Jeremiah Smith. Last year in terms of who had the most receiving yards. So it was, believe it or not,
Yeah.
Harold Fannin Jr., the
I had
tight
30,
end,
180, didn't they?
the tight end from Bowling Green, and then Nick Nash, then Tetiora McMillan as your top three. I mean, we didn't do too well here. You had Luther Burden out of Missouri. I had Xavier Restrepo out of the Miami of the Hurricanes, and I'm not sure either of them came anywhere near the top. They're certainly not in the top 25 from what oh, in fact, no. Xavier Restrepo was 12th. So, yeah. Oh, I actually did better than I thought with that. So, I'm not too fussed. But Luther Burden didn't have the best year possible. So, yeah, that is that one. Total touchdowns. We nailed this. We both had Ashton Jonty to get most total touchdowns in the country, and he just went absolutely nuts last year. He won the total touchdown category by a long way. Again, maybe felt a little easy, but don't care. We're gonna get it. Me and you both won right through the bat on that one. In terms of who I've got this year, I've gone running back again. He's coming back in for a second time. I do have Mackie Hughes again out of Oregon. I think he's going to get some luck in the receiving game. I think he's going to get three, four receiving touchdowns, probably to go with 14, 15, 16 rushing touchdowns. He's probably going to be touching on 20 this year, which would be enough to win him this crown. I think he's good enough of a receiver to do that. So I got Mackie Hughes as a total touchdowns leader. Who do you have?
I've gone rogue here. The player I picked was not even in the top 25 last year. I've got Blake Horvath, the Navy quarterback. He had 30 last year. Like I say, that wasn't even good enough top 25. I think this year, I think he goes wild. I think he's their entire offense. I think the passing touchdowns go up. I think the passing attempts go up because now I know he can do it, and now they know he can do it. Like I said, I think that offense will get even more balance. And in the wrong game, he still dominated. Last year, he needed 44. Like I say, I think he can get those high 30s, maybe low 40s, maybe a push. But yeah, I'm going off piste. I'm going for a Maverick here.
All right. I know I can absolutely get behind that. Right.
Bryson Daly nearly did it, so why can't Blake Horvath? That's what I asked myself.
Yeah, absolutely. He should be able to. Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. We've got next. We've got a couple more for these stats ones before we're on to the playoffs. We've got sacks in terms of sack leaders next
It's
year.
hard. This is one of those where it's fair game.
So this has been won by the group of
Those
five the
team
last.
five have won this.
Yeah, if this was group of five the last 2 years, so 2 years ago it was Jalen Green out of JMU. Last year it was Mike Green. So that's two Greens. Two Greens won it back to back, Jalen and Mike. Last year you picked Aston Gillotta from Louisville. I picked Abdul Carter from Penn State, who both had very good seasons, but not as good as what Mike Green did. He beat out Donovan Aziruwaku by half a sack. So who are we looking at as sack leader this year? Because again, you can get a lot of guys who fill their boots against weaker lines down in the group of five, but then there's always a star potentially in the power four waiting to break out.
I've gone with another one here that I don't think anyone will pick. I've got Mateo Uiagalelei, the edge rusher from Oregon. Now we had 10.5 sacks this year, but I think about the defensive line that has lost Birch, it's lost Coldwell, it's lost Brandon Dawless, it's lost loads of high-end draft picks this year, all along that defensive line. And don't get me wrong, they've got in recruits, they've brought in guys, but they've not brought in for me instant talent. And I just look at way up absolutely hulking monster pass rusher against a D line that has got loads of like now holes and opportunities for him. I just think this is the year it all comes together for him. I just think he is an absolute beast. And like I say, he was working part of a strong unit, one of the better D lines in the country this year. I think this year he takes over. I think this is one of them years where 10.5 turns into 15.5, 16 very easily. I'd go him as a future first round draft pick, potentially a lion. I love him and his game. Like I say, he is like the soul of a D line. I think this year, those snaps and the opportunities, I just think, yeah, he's going to have a monster year and breaks out.
All right. And then for me, for my sack leader, I've gone Kobe Stewart out of Buffalo. Talked about him a lot. This is the guy who is so freakishly athletic and just is an absolute anomaly at the position. I think Buffalo are going to go absolutely crazy in the MAC this year. I can see this guy topping 20 sacks if he stays healthy all year and plays the way that he can, like he's going to go absolutely nuts. I am very confident. Even if he doesn't win it all together, he'll be the guy in the group of five who has the most sacks of anyone possible. I love this kid. As soon as I can get tape on him and do a review on him to show you what I mean about him, I will do. So we'll get to it. But yeah, I've got Kobe Stewart there from Buffalo. And then interceptions. Who gets the most interceptions in the season? So this is where I've gone group of five again. I've got Chance Gamble from Georgia Southern. Again, I expect Georgia Southern to challenge for that Sun Belt title, and they're going to get a lot of balls thrown in their direction. Chance Gamble is one of the best corners in the Sun Belt, all told. He's had a couple of great years. Um, with the team. And I think this is just going to be the year where he's going to really ball out for them. So in terms of, and he's not had the most in his career so far, but he's 6'2", 180, perfect size really. He had his senior year last year, 3 interceptions, 8 passes defended. He's come up out of JUCO, I think it was where he's from, but he's fantastic. Forced fumble, fumble recovery, whole bunch of tackles, couple of tackles for loss as well. This is off piste. I'm looking for ball hawks, and I do know my ball hawks in the group of five, so he's the one I'm striking that's going to be the interception leader this year. Who about you, Rye?
I've got Koi Perich. Like I say,
Oh, Koi Carp.
yeah, he had an insane freshman year. Like I say, he's the elite dual threat returner, also playing wide receiver this year. That's 5 interceptions on a fairly mediocre snap count. And if there's anything that the Golden Gophers do well, it's building safeties and DBs, especially getting rid of some NFL. Antoine Winfield Jr., St. Juice, you've got Tyler Nubin, then Justin Waller. Those are 3, 4 guys drafted in like the last 5, 10 years that have all played safety or nickelback, and they've all had good success because the secondary is probably Minnesota's strength. It's where they do the best and they produce the top talent. And this kid, yeah, he's the real deal. He was a number one player in state. For me, he's one of the most underrated defensive backs probably in the FBS right now. I think this year he goes out there and he snags himself 6, 7 balls and proves to himself, like you say, that yeah, the draft will be calling. Like I said, that he's going to be a real top end talent. Like I say, he's one of those where it's going to be very hard to keep all of them. They kept him in state, but I think he's going to be the new leader of that defense. He's going to go out and he's going to fill his boots this season.
I love Koi Carp. He's going to be on a major Big Ten team next year, I feel like going into his junior year because he's only a true sophomore this year. He's absolutely fantastic, and I don't think Minnesota will be able to keep hold of him. The fact they've got him for a second year is tremendous. But yeah, Koi Carp is amazing. He jumps like one. He's just absolutely incredible. In terms of interceptions, last year you had Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. I had Jeremiah Cooper from Iowa State.
No, wasn't it?
But it went to Noel Williams from Cal.
He's having a great camp as well within the Chiefs.
Yeah, he is. 7 interceptions last year. The Cal DBs last year were getting fed something because they were just absolute turnover machines. So proves that it can come from absolutely anywhere because no one was expecting Cal to be that good on the defensive side of the ball last year. Right, that is all the statistical ones to now. There's just one thing left for us to do. Right, it's the playoffs. 12 teams for the playoffs. I've written mine down here, so I'll go through mine first. I'm not going to go down into detail with most of them, but my 12 for the playoffs this year, I have from the ACC, I've got Clemson and Pittsburgh both going. They both make the title game. Pittsburgh do enough to sneak through into the last seeded spot that's not the group of five one. I've got Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and LSU going through from the SEC. I've got USC, Ohio State, Penn State going through from the Big Ten. I've got Iowa State going through from the Big 12. I've got Notre Dame going through as an independent, as always. And then my group of five representative is Tulane at number 12. So those are the 12 teams I've got going in there. Not as I always feel like I've got real wild cards in. I think USC is the wild card this year. If they get in, and I predict that, I'm going to be very happy. But in no particular order, Rye, who do you have as your 12 teams making the playoffs?
Yeah, like I say, I'm not sure how I'd rank them, but I've got 12 teams.
Yeah,
So
just just read them out, and I'll get them in.
I've got Clemson, Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Georgia. My G5 is James Madison,
Hang on. So Clemson, Ohio State, Penn State,
LSU, and Georgia.
LSU, eh, Georgia. Yep.
James Madison.
Oh, you got James Madison in there.
Yep.
Georgia, James Madison. Yep.
Texas and Oregon.
Texas and Oregon. Yep.
And Notre Dame and Alabama.
Notre Dame, Alabama. Yep.
And Texas Tech and Arizona State.
Texas Tech, Arizona State. Those are your 12 there from Ryan. And then, most importantly, who makes the natty game? So no winners just yet, although we've probably given away what we're going to do, but who makes the national championship game? Which two teams?
Texas and Clemson.
So you've got Texas and Clemson. Me, I have Clemson and Penn State making the natty game. I am going all the way in on James Franklin this year. This is 3 years in the making. Do not let me down, James. I've got Penn State going the distance this time to face Clemson in the title game. And most importantly of all, who wins the national championship in 2025 or six, but you know what I mean.
Sarkisian and the Longhorns. And then Archman for the very.
Wait, what? Oh my God, he's thrown it. I thought you've got Texas winning it.
Yep. Clemson get there, but they just fall short.
Oh my days.
But
I
they win the
s-
hearts of the nation back by making that. They're the real winners.
okay. I have Clemson winning the national championship this year. I don't think there's an offense in the country that can deal with their defense, especially when it's going to be going at that point. You think of just the front four, then you talk about the linebackers, then you get into the secondary, you got Avion Terrell, guys like that. They're just NFL pedigree from NFL families. Um,
Yeah.
wow.
Michael Taff. Michael Taff, some say the white Avion Terrell. Like I
He's
think
all about,
they match I think they can match them all over on defense.
if Ryan mentions white DBs, listen, because every time Ryan mentions a white DB, he gets to the
Oh,
NFL and he
Taff's
starts
gonna be a
playing
great
well.
NFL player. He's gonna be top 100 draft pick next year. Book it.
There you go. There's the white boy summer, I believe, as they say. So in terms of last year, um, it was obviously Ohio State who triumphed over Notre Dame in the title game. We both had Georgia winning the Natty last year. Me against Alabama, you against Ohio State. So you did have Ohio State in the fight. You did put stock in them last year. You had Ryan Day winning awards. You had Ohio State winning awards. So we didn't do too bad in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, that is everything from us. In terms of our predictions for the year. Hopefully, you guys can see them all up on the screen. And yeah, hopefully, you've enjoyed this. This is our fun part of the year where we just get to put everything on the line. And then in a few months' time, when it
What
all
can go
goes
wrong, eh?
wrong, what can go wrong, eh? Absolutely. I'm feeling low-key confident on some of them, but like teams like USC and Penn State are really going to have to help me out this year. So yeah, we'll see with that one. I say I've got Penn State reaching, the natty, even though they don't win the Big Ten, but they sneak their way in. They do what Ohio State did last year. They don't deserve to get in the playoffs, but they get there, and then they just have the run of all runs against all form and expectations. So. Yeah, that is it. Those are all our predictions. If you have anything to mention about anything you like, anything you don't like, put it in the comments there. If you've got any questions for us before we get out of here, do let us know. I need to wait for Matt to come to his screen and sort us out there. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Um, as I say, in terms of what we're going to be doing next week, we're going to be doing our final team previews. So, again, as I mentioned, if any of the regulars have come in whilst we've been on the air and didn't hear earlier, obviously me and Ryan are going to be doing team previews about the teams we've got to follow this year because of the mystery draw we did earlier in the preseason. He's going to be watching UCF this year. I'm going to be watching South Carolina, and we're going to do our previews for those teams. But we're going to do previews for the teams of the people who like our fans here on the podcast. So we'll do some work on Michigan for Brent, and we'll do some work on Minnesota for Mile Marker. If any of you have been in the building a long time and you want us to do certain teams, let me know and I will put together a preview for you, like we usually do with our group of five previews. We will go in depth so you know everything there is to need to know about them before the season begins. And then, of course, it'll be week 0 coming up. And, again, I
Nick,
don't know
you're
about
going to
you,
have more
Ryan.
fun watching your team this year than I will watching mine.
You're not expecting much from Arizona State this year,
Oh
or
no, I meant UCF.
oh,
Like, I'm gonna
UCF,
have a lot
yeah.
more fun watching the Gamecocks than I will watching the Knights because all Scott Frost just wants to do is moan.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, but in fairness, I've got more to lose because there's a lot expected of South Carolina. This could be like when Rattler and Oklahoma, like everyone was talking about them as the
Oh,
next big
Norris Sellers.
things.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Norris Sellers to win the Heisman.
No, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to bring that curse on him. I want him to develop in peace. Like you've already seen the articles, like people saying Sellers is the next big thing on the
Oh, I've
circuit.
already
He's the
seen that. Yeah,
hottest
first
name.
overall pick in 2028.
He's the hottest name on the circuit, and I love him. I really do. But he's got a lot to learn. His style of quarterbacking, it's you've got to get yourself going as a passer, and you've got to be a very reliable passer, and you've got to want to throw first. Like he's not there quite at this moment in time. So I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of good players on that team though, but I mean UCF, I think you've got a lot of potentially good players on that team who, I think they'll be fun. And plus, it's a Big 12 thing, so you get to sit and watch the Big 12 a bit more as well, which is always fun. Just let Matt know there. Let's say, yeah, if anyone has anything they want to ask us, we're just winding this down here. Grandizer goes Kentucky. He does love Kentucky. Okay, we'll do something on Kentucky for you. The edge rusher there from South Dakota. He's really good. He was already listed as their best player on their team, which I kind of felt was an indictment on a Kentucky team that a South Dakota transfer is considered to be their best player. Like, that shouldn't be the case for an SEC powerhouse like that, but I don't even know who's playing quarterback. I don't even know I feel like that's,
I'm pretty sure it'll be Zach Calzada.
oh Lord. Maybe we should do that next year. Predict who's going to be the worst Power 4 team in the upcoming season. Like last year, it was Oklahoma State. Would never have picked that. Or Purdue. Could have got you lunch, but who could be the worst Power 4 team this year? I don't. I'm struggling. Ooh. Well, maybe we'll have to come back to. Maybe we'll have to make a pontification about that next week. I saw an article today though. ESPN did 5 underrated teams for this upcoming season. Wake Forest was on that list.
Yep. A lot of
So
people love Claiborne.
Ryan's starting the Wake Forest revolution here. He mentioned it last week. He's like, Wake Forest, don't sleep on them. Um, Maybe not so much for a title game appearance, but certainly for plenty of wins there. Did, did,
Wisconsin. They'll be a bottom five P4 team this country, I predict. I think they'll be terrible.
oh Lord, yeah, they could be. Absolutely. I mean, if Bryce Underwood doesn't so well, Michigan could be terrible as well. They could be really bad. Um, oh dear. And just in terms of next shows and stuff, so I say coming Saturday or Friday night for all you guys over the pond. It's our the next time you see us, it's going to be the 24-hour draft stream, the 24-hour fifth anniversary stream for us here at Roar of the Lions UK. So we've been going for half a decade now, which barely seems real. Doesn't seem a minute since we started doing it during COVID, but we're still here, so we're going to celebrate that with a load of guests and people who've helped us over the years and supported us. And of course, we invite you all along as well, because we would not be here if you didn't come and listen to us. That's the pure and simplicity of it. So hopefully you're able to all drop by for that. I say we've got lots of guests, we've got quiz going on, we've got forfeits and stuff going on. We're raising money for two very good charities, one over there in Michigan and one over here at home, which is particularly close to us, and specifically the panel of this show. So, yeah, we'll be ready from 7 p.m. Eastern Friday night for all you guys over there, midnight for everybody else. But we'll be on for a full day, so yeah, do make sure you spread the word about that. And yeah, it's going to be a good show. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, and hopefully we're all going to have a good time and raise a bit of money in the progress. And then, as I say, me and Ryan will be back this time next week, and we'll be 3 days away from college football, which is absolutely crazy. Week 0, we love it. And it's a really good slate this year. So I'll just quickly go through the games that are on. Obviously, we'll do them in depth, but there's 4 major ones. Obviously, in Ireland, the Ireland game is on. The Spectacle is coming to Ireland. It's Iowa State versus Kansas State. Kansas State are actually favored by 3 in that, which I don't like. You've got Kansas versus Fresno State. We've got Sam Houston versus Western Kentucky. And then we've got Stanford versus Hawaii, which is going to be fun. Hawaii are favored in that game over Stanford. I mean, it's a big year for Timmy, right? I was really wanting to put them in the Mountain West title game, but I think I will settle for a 6 or 7 win year for them. But everything I've heard pertaining out of that Hawaii camp, they're they're close. They're close. They're getting there. They could be one to watch, but I'm looking forward to that first week. I think it's going to be good football. There's some really good matchups there.
Stanford have named Gulbranson their starter yesterday, the former Oregon State QB.
State. Oh, is he like the one who's like 10 foot tall?
Yeah, he's about 6'7". Yeah,
He's
he's
he's, he's absolutely massive, isn't he?
Stanford QB. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game next week.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I say,
Stanford, like, has got 17 transfers as a program record, a whole new roster.
who Stanford do?
Yeah,
What, 17 starters?
17 starters apparently.
Oh my days. That's
In that,
crazy.
just in this off season, they've added, yes, projected best part 17 new players to up and play this year.
There you go. Hawaii upset over Stanford. We're calling that one now.
Yeah.
We're
Oh
calling
yeah,
that.
I think they'll give him hell.
Yeah. I just, this is the year. This is year 4 of Tim. We have covered Timmy Chang's entire tenure on this podcast since he started there, and we've been desperate for them to break the glass ceiling there. Hopefully, they're about to do so. Yeah, on that. Don't think there is much else to go through. I'm now a moderator on here. How did I do that? I don't know. Let me just have a quick look. Grandizer goes, and tell Ryan we need Hank. Oh, Hank will make an appearance, I'm sure, no doubt, during
Next
that.
year. He's just sat in a puddle.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's sat in a puddle, so he's enjoying life at the moment. We're in our 4th heat wave of summer so far, which is a lot for us Brits. We don't do with the heat very well, so especially the animals as well. So yeah, he's doing that there. Marmocker goes, thank you. Looking forward to the anniversary marathon. Yeah. Lisa goes, Hank had Ohio State winning it all last year. Maybe he did. Maybe Hank knows better than the pair of us. Right, yeah. I think that's just about everything from us this week. So yeah, thank you all for you to listening. Hope you've enjoyed our season prediction show. And for now, for the next 4 months, we're going to be talking college football every week. We're going to be talking actual games, which is going to be fun. And as we mentioned, hopefully during the season, we'll do some live streams during college football games as well. So you can come and chat with us directly and ask us questions, and we can get through a lot more stuff. So we'll see what's going on with that. But yeah, something we're looking into doing. So anyhow, remains me to thank Rye, and we will see you soon. Don't forget to find us Roar of the Lions UK all over. Please shout out the charity stream. Get as many eyes on that as possible. If you're on any other pods, just let them know. We'll get us, still getting guests on, still getting it all sorted. We'll see you then. Thanks, Rye. One pride.
Recording stopped.